Well, hello. It's your girl, Remi Ro, and I'm here to remind y'all that love wins. Hell yeah. 5 years of being Remi Rosin, and I'll be doing this probably the rest of my life. Used to rap as a guy, now I'm breaking out the closet, burning down the whole apartment cause I done lost it. My metaphors fly over your head just like a jet, sends applies, LGBTQ ain't out the woods yet. Staying true to myself cause that's a good flex. I ain't chasing waterfalls, I'm chasing good checks. I'm wholesome love, life is more than good sex. Steezy summers on the beat, you know it's in full effect. I've been selling my soul short for a hot minute. I've been smoking something green, but no, it's not spinach. Not an M&M clone, but my swag infinite. No, I ain't trash, I got a hefty bag a minute. I'm 33, but I'm a rap till Mother Nature murders me. Y'all really missing out if you never heard of me. 12 steady looking hard for me because I'm murder beef. I'ma eat the rap game up just like some burger beef. I'm coming hard like a premature ejaculation. I got true love for the game, is no infatuation. No one else can't tell me shit like Kanye's graduation. Cat Williams said I need you, so I'm glad you hating. Used to be a stereotype, but now I'm over that. Had to make sure that my flow and spirit overlap. My 9 to 5's a dead end like a cul-de-sac. I got my eye on the prize, no more holding back. It's your girl Remi Rosin off a show the boldest. Even if I rapped in a song, I might flow the coldest. It feels good to evolve like a Pokemon. Can't stop the hustle, I gotta give my dough, come on. I'm on a journey to become my own woman, and leaving fake ones in the past like ancient Romans. I'm only human, please forgive me for my deadly sins. I'm proud to be myself for who I am, cause love wins. Yo, love wins. I'm proud to be myself for who I am, cause love wins. Yo, love wins. Gotta keep the faith that all comes from within. Yo, love wins. Sweetie, you're a queen, nobody can take your crown. Yo, love wins. We're all human, red, yellow, white, black, and brown. Love wins, it's the antidote to hate. Love doesn't know gender, date who you wanna date. I don't believe in barriers, let's break down the gate. Don't listen to the haters, you decide your own fate. Love wins, it's the antidote to hate. Love doesn't know gender, date who you wanna date. I don't believe in barriers, let's break down the gate. Don't listen to the haters, you decide your own fate. I'm 34 now, but I'm aging like fine wine. Real versus fake can look alike, it's a fine line. It feels good to bounce back like a bungee cord, embarking on a life journey that I've never done before. Life's a struggle, but I'm learning to embrace it though. No sense in running from the truth, gotta face it, yo. Life's hard like a boner, so I say fuck it. Life can be a real dick, so I try to tuck it. I wanna be a household name before I kick the bucket. I wanna start a legacy and also get the ducats. Nobody wants to work a basic job to pay bills. Even though I'm not from the south, I stay trill. My bars are so dope, fans assume I take pills. My flows are sick when I arise, I need Dayquil. Started as a male, but I don't wanna die one. If you got a problem with me, then goodbye, hun. Mwah. Mwah. It's your girl, Remi Rosin. Meow meow.
Hello, welcome back.
Hi, I'm Remi Rosin. How are y'all doing tonight?
Ow. So, where are you originally from, Remi?
So, I'm from Des Moines. That's the area I'm from. So, I'm actually from some little pissant farm town of like 400 people. It's midway between Des Moines and Ames. It's called Alleman. It made me who I am. Most of my classmates, went off to college and shit after high school. My story's a little bit different. I didn't leave until 26. I moved to Colorado for the first time.
So, what kind of household did you kind of grow up in?
I would say a pretty conservative household for the most part. My parents, let me cuss and things like that. So they were pretty lenient in some regards, but they did what they could to shelter me as a kid, to try to keep me out of trouble. But ironically, because of the dysfunction that was surrounding me, it was kind of hard to avoid.
So, I know that you're fairly open about the fact that you are relatively neurodivergent. How did these things kind of help you find music, or how has music impacted those parts of your life?
When I was 14, I was going through depression really bad, and then I went to see this therapist who said I had Asperger's. At the time, there was this thing called Asperger's. Now it's just called the autism spectrum disorder. But anyway, it was like the more intelligent version of autism, basically just splitting hairs. This was 20 years ago. And then I also got diagnosed with ADHD. So I've talked to my therapist for the past 5 years about my ADHD experiences.
Do you feel like some of those parts of your life affected like your schooling or social relationships, or even just like music in general?
So I started doing music as kind of a fluke, but what really got me doing music non-ironically was using it as a medium to cope with depression. Like, I always had a knack for poetry, and I started writing some lyrics that could what it would be, and I was just thinking about shit and like trying to rhyme, and I didn't quite understand the world around me because I was this class clown in the 7th grade, and then people like slept on me in the 8th grade, and little did I know is because people's like humor tends to change up, and I wanted to be a class clown because I thought I was going to be a comedian. And back in the 90s, like when I was a kid, I looked up to Adam Sandler. I thought I would be a comedian someday, and as a 7th grader I thought, oh, all right, I like rap, I'll like fuck it. And so I was using that as a medium to express myself, but then in the 8th grade, I realized that I've actually got something, and this was like the precursor to Midwest emo me, because I didn't realize how emo I actually was, because like back in the 2000s, it wasn't really considered cool like it is today. Like there's a lot of stigma for depression in general, like, and so like mental health definitely got me to like writing about depression, and then I also like used it to flamboast and have fun. Like I wrote a song called Hit Me Up when I was in the 9th grade, and there was one of my friends who was a classmate of mine in chorus, like she did the beatbox, and like most people were doing like maybe like a Norah Jones cover or something like that, but my performance really stood out. And for the longest time I thought I peaked in high school, because for a minute I did. That was like the largest crowd that I had like for a minute. The 15 minutes of fame were cool, but then later on throughout high school, the double-edged sword is you get a lot of people, these crabs in the bucket that mock other people and shit, like whether it's out of jealousy or whatever. But I'm so grateful that I eventually found myself doing these open mics the past year. I've done 45 plus open mics in 2025, and so this whole experience has taught me that, okay, I did not peak in high school, because I've got like my own musical circle that I've kind of helped.
I know you were kind of sharing with me that like your early music versus your music now is like very different, and in what ways do you feel like it has changed with you?
So let's see, I started my social transition in 2020, like right before COVID actually, was like my first time going to Club Q as Remi Ro, like before the masks. So I'm glad I at least got to experience that before COVID. But then once I started taking the hormones last year in June of 2024, I started becoming a lot more sensitive and in tune with my emotions, and I also have a lot more perspective now than I did before. Like getting therapy has really helped, and I've also been taking antidepressants since I've been on HRT, so that
really seems to be helping too.
You have a pretty vulnerable song. Your song "Teenage Tears" I know holds great sentiment for you personally, especially throughout your transition. There's a lot of topics about like growing into womanhood and some of your feelings about that. Do you care to open up about what that song means to you?
Sure. So it's me showing empathy for cis women because despite all the privileges that come with being cis, there's a double-edged sword. Like on the tip of the iceberg, you might see like, all this chivalry, that girls get to experience, and it's like, oh, I want that. But you may not know what those women are actually going through behind closed doors. So my song Teenage Tears, it's basically my raw expression of my fear of missing out, being a late bloomer, because I am 38 right now, and so I would have been 33 when I started the social transition, and so there's quite a bit I missed in my teens and my 20s, and I'm definitely grateful for what I have now, but there's so many times where it's like, oh crap, it's too late for me, I missed out on my teens and 20s, but I've been learning more and more. It doesn't have to be that way, especially when you got like music and like poetry to let that shit out instead of just like doing beat stewing. And it's good to be able to express these feelings articulately instead of just letting them like soak in and consume me and poison me.
I know you faced a lot of unfortunate circumstances when it came to coming out to your family, and I could imagine that kind of that FOMO paired with particularly your relationship with your mom when it comes to a lot of this. I can imagine it is exceedingly difficult, and I just see a lot of strength in you. But if you care to kind of share some of that for anyone in the audience that might be going through something similar.
Yeah, this is honestly a little bit more difficult for me, but I'm glad we're doing it. It needs to be discussed because the topic of transphobia in general needs to be discussed. So I came home like a few months after I started the HRT, like around 9/11 of last year. I drove home, and then it's a good thing I scooped up one of my friends who also is friends with my parents. Like, it kind of helped soften the blow, so my parents at least had someone to talk to while I went to my room. But my parents were of course in shock when I came home, and I was wearing a rather tasteful outfit. I had this maroon cardigan that I was wearing, and I had this this pretty simple mini skirt that kind of went down to my knees, but I dressed in what I considered to be a wholesome outfit. But of course that wasn't the issue. It was the culture shock. So when I first came in, my dad's first reaction was like, isn't it a little bit early to dress up for Halloween, such and such? And then I was like, this isn't for Halloween, Dad. I'm Remi, Diana, such and such, and was hoping I could get my parents to see the light, but nope. My dad went out to the garage. Like, I remember seeing him just walking away. Apparently he went out to the garage to cry, and he doesn't cry very often, my mom says. And my mom and I were, having this conversation, and it was really more of a guilt trip than anything. And why couldn't you have just waited to come out until after I passed away? Like, and it's like, Mom, I'm still your child. Like, it's sad. And of course my mom was like guilt tripping me several times about the inheritance situation. Well, baby, I want for you to have all of your inheritance, and like, don't you want to be able to have like all of it? And like, well, what if you get cut off and you see your friends like having vacations and you get jealous? Like, my mom's a big whatever anyway, and she's like, has always spun the narrative that, oh, well, your friends and family don't approve of this. And I told her there's plenty of friends of mine who are totally fine with me being Remi. And, well, your family doesn't approve of it. Like, which ones? The conservative family members? Because there's an influx of people in our family who are totally fine with me being Remi.
It hurts my heart so fucking severely that you had to deal with that as you just tried to express yourself and connect. Especially as a mother, I cannot imagine treating my kid like that over them just expressing themselves. If you were a parent and your child came to you in the same exact scenario, how would you have approached them?
I would, well, I can't imagine being a parent, but I would imagine myself accepting my kids, and it warms my heart to have a friend like you and just seeing people like you in general who are doing the right thing, like supporting their children. And I once read this like quote, well, I think I've read it several times, but it says, if you're not willing to accept your kid for being queer, then don't have a kid. And well, I gotta agree with that, because it's like conversion therapy, clearly doesn't work, and it's fucking stupid. I've got I don't know, I'm not sure what I believe in, to be honest. Like, I'm kind of agnostic about, like, Jesus being our savior, and I definitely believe it's possible. I'm just not sure. I'm, looking more and more into the possibility of it. Like, I just want to live, a good life, be the best person that I can be, and a lot of people following religion don't really do that. It's like they don't care about doing the right thing. All they care about is some bullshit status quo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, we have so many conversations where I'm like, I feel like the most biblically accurate, like actual, like faithful Christians usually don't identify with religion, because the people that are in the churches are weaponizing religion, which I think is like the one thing that Jesus like literally spent their entire life fighting against and literally was murdered for. And like, it drives me crazy to hear people trying to use anything just to like hurt other people, like even just like outside of religion, just like giving people looks or approaching people a type of way. Or it's like, life is so fucking hard. Why are we trying to make it harder for anyone else? And why are you upset at my experiences that are really none of your fucking business,
Seriously, and everything I'm doing is, out of the kindness of my heart. I'm not just doing shit to play devil's advocate. I'm doing it because it's authentic.
And you're literally the sweetest fucking person I've ever met. Aww. I meet so many people day in, day out that are hardened or egotistical, and you're constantly pouring your heart into uplifting other people. And I know you said that you feel underappreciated at times, and to be honest, like I cannot tell you how much I love you being you and your authenticity. Throughout all of the hardships and the bullshit with your family, what do you think have been the most helpful support systems that have got you through some of those times where people like that are in your ear?
So having real ones in my life, and of course my therapist. I actually had a therapy session one night when I was, and my therapy sessions are video anyway, and so I actually stayed at a hotel in downtown Des Moines a couple of nights because I needed some kind of abscon. My mom was driving me crazy, and it was nice. So it was a nice couple nights, and then like my first night I talked to my therapist, and that was a pretty nice session as always. And also like leaning on my friends as a voice of reason. Like I have this one family member who was basically trying to convert me back to what, he thinks I really am. There's a lot of red flags that I've been noticing in the, last few months of our friendship, but the straw that broke the camel's back was sending me a link to a page called Sex Change Regret.
Ugh.
Like, Walt Heyer is a good name to look up, so that is quite a cautionary tale. And I've done a little research, and I'm not even trying to flex on anybody. I'm so grateful to have made good choices, and got down and understood my mental health before transitioning. One of my best friends was telling me to block this family member, and so I did. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I've been sticking with good people who not only accept me but also respect me. And I'm trying to build that kind of mutual respect. And I overthink a lot. Like I'm really self-conscious about how I move, and I'm always like worried about like, oh shit, what am I doing am I pissing off this person or that person? Or like I've always been such a people pleaser. I thought that was the move. I did that to like try to get approval, but like so many people in this world will walk all over you, and I do what I can to uplift people.
I know you've dealt with some pretty heavy heartbreaks this past year in regard to people kind of taking advantage of your kindness and kind of your want for connection. I believe you wrote Thunder Girl kind of inspired by some of that.
So Thunder Girl is more about fantasy, and there's this romance novel I'm working on. The soundtrack of that will include Thunder Girl, because there's like this alternate timeline where circumstances are a little bit different. So it's basically the same world. It's just different choices were made in my life, and it's kind of like a more ideal timeline. And I came up with it originally, like there's this girl and I were married, we're the ultimate sapphic power couple. What's so amazing about the queer community is that we tend to not judge people like the heteronormative world does. Like if you're not getting laid in that world, you're a fucking loser. But in this world, I mean, it's we understand like the awkwardness. We're not as likely to shame people.
I have noticed something that it kind of lights a fucking crazy ass pissed off fire in me every time I notice it. But I've noticed with you being someone who is so authentic, so true to yourself, and such a strong character, you stand out, and I feel like you're someone who does get a lot of attention, and I know that can be really difficult when there's people that want to project and kind of put things on you. And anytime I see someone saying a mean comment or something, I get so fucking mad. But then I look to you and I just see you handle it with such grace, such ease, and you just keep being you, and you inspire the fuck out of me in that way, because I'm so sensitive, and just seeing how strong you are helps me feel like I'm so free to keep just trying no matter like what happens. And I just want to know kind of how do you handle people that are haters or are being hard on you, and in what ways has it changed you, or has it not affected you?
So The thing about haters is you gotta understand that it's really arbitrary at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. For one, like, the comments I get on TikTok are just so redundant. Like, people say the most redundant things, like, did you seriously think that was gonna hurt my feelings? Because a lot of the comments are, like, not even that hurtful. They're just straight up stupid. They're just fucking stupid. And then even with the comments that are, because I get a lot of hurtful comments, like, being told that, like, nope, that's a dude. But I think because of course I'm pretty good about my hashtags, and I think, people are just, these motherfuckers are just going out of their way to troll on me. And it's like they don't have a life. Like, they just hate seeing me have fun. Like you don't know anything about me. Like, it makes me appreciate the real ones in my life.
I got to listen to your song White Noise, and I feel like that is something that reflects a lot of your view on the power of words. And where were you kind of at when you were writing that song?
Let's see. White Noise was produced by me, and Purgatory, that's another song I was working on. And so they both have very similar meanings, but White Noise is, that one was hella inspired by Russ. And so, yeah, that's one of my most slept on songs, and definitely one of my most meaningful ones. I haven't even heard it in a minute. I love creating material. I'm addicted to creating content, whether it's another song or a poem, or, I just always feel the need to be creating something.
So what do you think is something that you wish more people understood about you?
There's a lot of things that people don't seem to understand about me, but one thing I'd like people to understand is my efforts of people don't realize, what kind of hardships I've actually gone through, and I'm, not trying to play the victim card, and, life is, there's this balance of, like, I'm always, like, thinking about what if. I'm trying to work on that, but I have a tendency to overthink. I think that's something people, like, already know, but I'm always trying to improve myself. I know I, make a lot of mistakes. It's like taking, like, one step forward and two steps back. But progress isn't always linear.
How do you think that all of, like, the troubles and hurt that you've endured throughout your life has affected how you see and treat other people?
Karma, because I noticed that when you treat other people well, they're most likely going to treat you well. Like, sometimes people will take advantage of you, and sometimes people will, like, try to play you and mock you and whatever. But I found that, not just to, for the sake of getting something, but for me it feels good to, treat other people kindly, like, cause it's the golden rule, and treat others the way you want to be treated. I know that sounds cliche, and, like, the platinum rule I learned is treat others the way they want to be treated, which is, that's a really good rule, because, not everybody wants to be treated the same. I mean, just because you like being treated like this or that doesn't mean someone else is going to. Like, people are different, and that's why it's important to look at people as individuals. And, that's another thing I've learned from my hardships, and it's helped me realize, what's real and what's not. And, there's, like, so many people that I wanted to have in my life, but, sometimes people have a way of, like, filtering themselves out by ghosting you, and I really don't even have any hard feelings. Like, I'm just a little disappointed, but, it's just the fucking way she goes. That's part of life, so I'm just trying to, like, handle all these different situations the best I can. And there's been so many times I've been so worried about not playing the victim card that, that I overlooked that, I actually, am in a, situation where I'm being played, and, tend to be like hella emotional, and I, talked a lot about some nihilistic bullshit, like about suicide, but I'm not just, trying to get attention, and I, not even just looking for people to feel sorry for me. I just want people to understand, that's just empathy, and I've been, trying to learn about having empathy for others.
Yeah, I know that definitely we've had a lot of talks about our relationship with self-harm and things like that. Mental health is a very serious thing in my life, and I know I've told you this once before, but just for the audience, there was a time where I was deeply struggling and really spiraling out, and I tried like listening to music to make me feel better, right? And I put on Rihanna and I just felt like shit, like she was not making me feel any fucking better. But just on an impulse, I put on 2 of your songs, Hell and Back and Hear Me Roar. And when I tell you that those words spoke a little bit more fight in me, I mean it. And I'm pretty sure I called you immediately after. So no matter what is going on with all the, because I mean you've clearly been through more than your fair share of hardships, and just the fact you're trying to have empathy moving forward says a lot about your character.
Thank you. I've, said for the longest time, like before my HRT, like if my music can make a positive impact on one person, then I'm doing something right. And there's my besties, and then like I've been like waiting like so long to find a friend like you, someone who's like another artist, like someone that like, and I love all my friends, but I feel like different friends like get each other in different ways. Like some people are gonna have, common ground in different areas, and we're both like artsy fartsy and we both have such a passion for music.
So I was going to ask you, because I know you've been going to so many open mics and performances. Do you have a favorite venue that you've played, or a favorite show that you were a part
of? Let's see. So my first Pride was Secco. That was very monumental. I regret not being as well prepared for that. Like I got caught up in the excitement. I didn't really sleep that night. That was really cool. And the queer open mics are my favorite. Like there's a few of those I had done here in Colorado Springs. Like the people that you get to meet, you can make some interesting connections, and that's one of the things I'm most grateful for with music is, making connections, like, not just to, get something, but, to actually connect to people, and like whether it's like a clothing exchange or, going to a show, or just, being out in public and getting compliments on my outfits, just random little things like that. And it's interesting, like what I've learned, in girl world, as they say in Mean Girls, like, and the estrogen, helps me, put it in perspective even more. And I am not saying that you need like hormones to be valid, because it's all in your head. It's in your heart. Like, you don't have to switch up your voice if you don't want to. Being self-conscious, like the fact that I like care, and I'm not just, trying to fit in with some bullshit status quo. And I was worried about passing for a minute there, but like one of my besties helped me realize, like, hey, you're buying into like patriarchy. like in internalized misogyny and transphobia, where I was like, oh damn, I didn't. And then once I realized that, I'm like, okay, let's take a step back, and because a lot of people, they get argumentative and and they're in denial about things, but I'd rather not do that. I'd rather, it may not be flattering to hear like certain criticisms, but as long as you're doing it for the right reason, like are you doing it because you want to help, or are you just trying to flex your superiority complex? And some people are doing the latter. I've learned that the hard way. But yeah, people like my bestie, like we've been friends for about 7 years now, and like they were one of the first people to help me, crack that egg, when I was this trans egg, confused about my gender. And my mom thought I was just venting on Facebook, but that wasn't the intention. I mean, yes, I vented on Facebook, but it was a cry for help. And my bestie was a voice of reason, and I was basically making the same mistakes that I made back in Iowa, like, because life, in a lot of ways, it is the same regardless of where you go. People are people. You still have like the Western status quo and shit. Heteronormativity is heteronormativity. And I'm, just grateful that I've been able to, step up and unbrainwash myself, because that's one thing that I regret about living in a conservative household was, I wish I had learned to think for myself, before moving out. I basically just, listen to my parents, just giving them the benefit of the doubt, but, they're, so like caught up in this echo chamber, like, and I'm so glad that I've learned to get out of that. And I still have a lot of lessons that I need to learn.
If you don't mind letting the people know where they can find you.
I've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, like all the basic ones. And I've got Threads, Twitter, a couple different Twitters. There's my regular one I don't really use that much, but there's my spicy one that I do use a little here and there. And then there's I have a Tumblr. So yep, I've got everything linked on my link tree for socials. Right.
And I'll drop some links in the description so you can subscribe and follow. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Think what you want about me, but you really don't know jack. I gotta keep my life intact, I've been to hell and back, running up a check so I can keep my life on track. Never a dull moment. All my life I've had a chip on my shoulder, stuck between a hard place and a boulder, growing wiser as I'm getting older, time to sort myself out like a boulder. So many false friends, trial and error, gotta face my fears, no time for terror. Moving on from the past one day, got no time to stay true. Some of day ones like metal and some mistakes are a necessary evil. Got my eye on the prize like a people, speaking my truth so I can filter out liars, using songs to manifest my desires. Things could have been better, but they could have been worse. Life is a roller coaster, it's a good day to curse. Not sure how, but everything's gonna be okay. I'm breaking up my show, dancing the night away. Think what you want about me, but you really don't know jack. I gotta keep my life intact, I've been to hell and back, running up a check so I can keep my life on track. Never a dull moment. I'm kicking incredibly dope shit. Recipes to Mac Miller. I'm nothing like these cookie cutter rappers with whack filler. I'ma put this beat to sleep, you can call me that killer. Rising above the bullshit, I'm ascending to a stack filler. I sure came a long way, but I can't forget where I came from. Gotta be a go-getter, cause I refuse to be a lame bum. Life's too short to let the bullshit stop me flowing. Getting started is out the battle, another reason to keep going. They say everybody has their cross to bear, so I'ma deal the cards myself and make it fair. I'm about to roll the dice cause life's a gamble. The fruit is sweeter once you made it through the bramble. Think what you want about me, but you really don't know jack. I gotta keep my life intact, I've been to hell and back, running up a check so I can keep my life on track. Never a dull moment. I've been in my bag since, even though I'm slept on like a mattress. I'm a fucking maverick, cause great minds think for themselves. Got some great books on my shelves, gotta maintain my mental health. Got a temper short like an elf, so I had to go get some help. A little gratitude goes a long way, like a highway. Damn, I feel like Fred Durst, cause I gotta do things my way. Follow your heart, follow your intuition, just like Tool said. Making money doing something I love, I wanna get that cool bread. Think what you want about me, but you really don't know jack. I gotta keep my life intact, I've been to hell and back. Running up a check so I can keep my life on track. Never a dull moment, I stay sharper than attack. Aww. Yay! It's your girl, Remi Ro. Meow. Meow meow.